Hey team, it's section 3.2 European Economic Evolution. The change of the money structures in Europe thanks to the Age of Exploration. We're going to look at the Commercial Revolution and the system of mercantilism. And we are joined today by Piper. Hello, Piper. How are you? Piper. Piper, look at me. There she is. All right. Such a good girl. Yes, you are. Okay, let's talk about money. What's on the menu? The causes and significance of the commercial revolution, the definition and features of mercantilism, and how the system impacted a country's economy and foreign policy. All of this is in the context of the fact that we have explored a new world, and Europe has found this new area with new chances to make money, with new chances to generate wealth, and it's going to change the way that Europe sees its money structures. Everything is going to change because of exploration, from social patterns to political systems, but the money, the economic changes, is where it's really at. So the commercial revolution is the big historical event that is something that you don't really know is happening until it's really happening. It's the expansion of trade and business that transforms European economies in the 16th and 17th centuries. Again, a cause, exploration, the chance to bring back and gain more wealth. And it is all about the money in Europe, a Europe that becomes more urban rather than rural, rather than agriculturally based. Now it's going to become more capitalist based, meaning I can open a business and make some money and look at all these new goods out here that might be worth selling. So you definitely were seeing this in the Renaissance with the East Asian trade routes and things of that nature, but it's really going to blow up with exploration at the beginning of the 16th century or the year 1500. So the features of the commercial revolution. What do we got? Well, here are the causes. If population is going to go up, and it goes down a little bit in the 16th century, early 17th, but once it really takes off, you've got to make more stuff for people, right? I mean, if you're going to have more people, what do people need? Like clothes, for instance. You don't want to run around naked, so you've got to have people to make clothes, and that's going to cause a growth of business because population is going to go up. The emergence of new goods, both basic and luxury. Oh my gosh, we find potatoes in the New World. Now we bring them back. This is something that people are going to make and sell. We're going to find luxury goods from the East Asian colonies, whether they be spices, whether they be silks and linens, whether they be fine crystals like this nice little cup, which I swear I was drinking orange juice earlier and nothing more nefarious. Those things are going to be desired and demanded so you can get into the business of selling them. Countries are going to look to improve their economic power. The political angle we'll get to in a minute. You also, through this period, have the increase in banking. Banking systems are created where people are going to be looking to save money rather than just have enough to spend what they need, creating more of a reserve cash flow and then investing that cash in these merchants that are successful, thinking Medici and people like them. They will invest their cash in joint stock companies. A company which has multiple owners, not just one or two. If it has multiple owners, you can limit the investment you put in, thereby limiting the risk. So if I open like an underwear business where I made underwear, and then nobody wore underwear anymore. I mean, we're going crazy, right? All of my efforts to create that business they're going down because I have put all my financial gain in that. But if I have a limited investment in it, if I only buy some stock in that company, like a modern day corporation, it limits the risk. Sure, my profits might be smaller, but it certainly limits the risk. And then because of this commercial revolution, the economic centers in Europe are going to move away from the south in Italy, like Venice and Florence, and they're going to move to the Netherlands, Amsterdam, a place that's high on life in more ways than one. Okay. So anyway, the Netherlands are going to be successful economically speaking through this commercial revolution for several reasons. One, they have a system of canals throughout the city. If you ever go to Amsterdam, it is absolutely beautiful with their canal system. It smells a little, with all the water, but certainly you have the system which can assist trade. You can move goods from place to place in the city, and noting it is certainly accessible to water throughout. Okay, never mind. So back to Amsterdam. Certainly the ports that are placed there. This country, the Netherlands, is known as the Low Countries because it is, for the most part, under sea level. So the accessibility to ocean areas helps trade that goes out from here. The Dutch, which is another name for the Netherland people, the Dutch, D-U-T-C-H, create what's known as the Dutch East India Company. And that basically comes with more or less a military navy to protect the country in their trade routes. So they develop a navy that is very, very powerful and effective on the water. And the final idea, again, is, honestly, I don't know. I think this is just a pretty picture of Amsterdam. I have no idea what this means. It is beautiful, though, and the bikes everywhere. If you go to Amsterdam, you're more likely to get hit by a bike than get hit by a car. I don't know. Bikes are everywhere. Those people are rough. You better watch your back when you're in Amsterdam, or you get run over by Lance Armstrong, if you know what I'm saying. So the significance of this commercial revolution. Why is it important? European society will shift from being rural and isolated to become connected and urbanized, meaning that cities are where business is going to get done. The feudal system is going to fall apart because the rural way of doing things is irrelevant when a lot of the economic benefit is located beyond where Europe was. It's not as agricultural anymore because so many of the goods that drive the economy come from far away rather than something that can be grown. So it's going to shift a little bit toward an urban and connected area. So you're going to see cities grow. Countries seeking new empires to gain resources. More on that in a second. Here's a big key, huge key here. The middle class, or as we call them, the bourgeoisie, will grow in political and economic significance, and it creates a new, make sure you understand this phrase, economic elite, meaning that it's a new class of people that are defined not by where they're born on the pyramid, but the money that they have can put them in a more powerful position. Thanks to this commercial revolution, which puts more emphasis on business, trade, and moving goods around for economic benefit. Now, when the prices for some of these goods, or rather when the demand for the goods rise, so we're bringing back, remember commercial or Columbian exchange, we bring back so many of these new things to Europe. When the demand goes up, when luxury items, the demand goes up, producers know that they can charge more money for that same price. So the price goes up, which creates what's called the price revolution. So when these producers decide, hey, I can sell like this pillow with this beautiful bunny rabbit on it. Wow, it's really in demand. So I'm going to, instead of selling for $3, I'm going to sell it for $5. I know people are going to buy it because it's a beautiful pillow. So I can get more bang for my buck. And that creates inflation, the rising of prices, thus creating what's called the price revolution. Now, there's a downside to that we'll get to later. But in the meantime, higher demand for goods is going to increase the price of said goods. Now, the political angle of all this. Money doesn't happen and economic change doesn't happen in a vacuum. It oftentimes coincides with political change. And the political change of the period is called mercantilism. Now, yes, it's an economic philosophy, but it's an economic philosophy that countries will drive themselves by, not individuals. So again, this is a country-driven action, not a personal like, oh, I'm going to be a mercantilist. No, I have nothing to do with it. This is what my government is going to be doing. The idea is that the amount of power I have is directly proportional to the amount of wealth I have. But the gold and silver, another word for it is bullion, B-U-L-L-I-O-N, the amount of bullion I have dictates the amount of power that I have. And the reason why that's relevant is that if I have more money, I can exert my influence more. I can build my military up, my navy, whatever. The goal for a mercantilist economy, yes, is to have all this wealth, but for me to be self-sufficient, for me to be able to make everything that I need. So, phones, remote controls, Doc McStuffins x-ray machines, whatever it is, I make what I need and I don't have to go buy anything else. Because if I have to go buy something else from another country, what do? I give them my wealth. So if I can produce everything inside of my country, I can create the wealth by selling all these things to other countries. Whereas if I have to go buy it from, say, Canada, I'm giving my wealth to Canada and therefore I have power. So how do we make this happen? We get as much bullion as possible. So that means explore, explore, explore. I want a favorable balance of trade, which means more exports, sending things out, than imports, bringing things in. More exports than imports. Because if I'm importing goods, I am exporting wealth, or my gold and silver. So I want to keep money from flowing to other countries. And here's the key. Here's where it all matters. I'm going to create colonies. Okay, so say I do this. Say, here's my home country. Say I don't make any, like, I don't know, there's no cotton here, or there's no timber, or whatever. Then I'm going to get my country, and I'm going to go all the way over here, and I'm going to develop a colony here to make and create that good. So when I make it all, then I'm going to go back to the mother country, and I send the goods here so that I don't have to go to my rival country to buy it. Colonies create what you need so you don't have to go get it from another country. Because if you did, you would send them your wealth, and therefore they'd increase their power. I'm so tired. Okay. Oh, I nearly threw up. That'd been bad. Okay, so here's kind of the view. Gold and silver, your country or your treasury, right? Favorable balance of trade. You want the exports. You don't want the imports. And then the colonies are there to serve you. So, you know, the British colonies in North America, they weren't created just for kicks or a vacation spot. Those places were designed to be able to produce things to help the British Empire. And then those colonies that create, what do you need to protect them? An army, a navy. That's where you exert your influence with the money that you create. So due to mercantilism, this incorporates and builds a triangular trade system. And that the mother countries, which are over here in Europe, create the colonies to develop the goods that get sent back here. Now you ask, well, what happens when maybe country A sees that country B has an awesome colony that they want? Well, guess what? That's why wars start. In the 1700s, most wars start because country A desires country B's colony because they've got cool stuff, right? So that's why it happens. And again, the mother country knows that the colonies exist to serve them. Now, what happens when the colonies get a little uppity and get a little red, white, and blue George Washington? Well, that's another story. But in the meantime, it's all because of the wealth they can create. And all of this has to do with this new expansion of trade and business. That's where it starts. When that new world is discovered, it impacts how countries see their economy. It's a race to get the supplies that they need to be able to hold economic power over everybody else. To connect it, who's making the decisions? The governments. And who is the government in Western Europe? The kings. And the kings have the power, thanks to the rise of new monarchs, to make these decisions. Well, what do you know? We just made some connections. I'm going to sit down here and catch my breath, and that's going to be all she wrote. Oh, what did I do? Oh, that's not good. Oh, maybe it's good. I don't know. Yep, we're fine. That's the end of 3.2. We'll see you later.